So today we're going to be talking about disappointing metal albums. That's correct, we're going to be talking about those albums that you were hotly anticipating, but then they turned out to be absolute tripe. They turned to ash in your mouth, soured the taste of the band in question. Maybe it didn't, maybe it was just a bad album, a rotten apple in the rest of the basket is really good, but we're going to be discussing your guys' opinions on this, not mine. I'll chime in. You know, it's going to be more a discussion video. I'll chime in with what my thoughts are on the picks that you've done. So I asked my audience on YouTube, I asked my community, I said, what metal albums have disappointed you the most? And you delivered, so let's go and dive into your picks. And yeah, we'll go through it. I want you guys to discuss it in the comments as well. Do you agree with these ones? Do you not? Let's find out. The first one I see is by Adam Lopez, which says, Avenged Sevenfold, Life is But a Dream. This is the latest Avenged Sevenfold album, and if you watch my channel regularly, this was one of my least favourites of the entire year last year. I don't mind Avenged Sevenfold, I've seen them live a couple of times. I quite enjoy Waking the Fallen, City of Evil, the self-titled is fantastic, Nightmare, yeah, I like quite a big chunk of the discography coming from someone who loves like black metal, death metal, doom metal. I don't care. I still really like them. The stage is where they became more progressive, and I think it worked for them. Very epic songs, but then on Life is But a Dream, it just felt too chaotic. It felt like they were just trying to go for too many ideas at once. Didn't quite work, wasn't as cohesive as the stage, wasn't as grandiose. The vocals weren't very good on the newest album. I hated the vocals, to be honest. I thought it was one of the worst can't talk. One of the worst vocal performances of all time. No, it was terrible. I didn't like the vocals at all. The glitchy sounds. I don't know. It just felt like a mixing pot of just everything that doesn't work. And I know they wanted to go for something strange and unique, and it was. Some people love it. I'm not one of them. So I 100% agree on Avenged Sevenfold's Life is But a Dream. Let's carry on. Someone else says In Flames His Battles. Frederick Gustafsson. I disagree, because really, most people will say anything after Clayman or Colony was kind of disappointing anyway, so was Battles really disappointing? It came after Siren Charms, which is terrible. So really, to me, Battles is a step up. So I completely disagree on this one. I feel like Battles is actually a little bit better than Siren Charms. Still not great. Two of the worst albums in the catalogue, but I do like the later ones. So let's carry on. Someone else saying Cavell Attack, Code Orange, yeah. Someone said Neugey. I don't know how you say that, but they said the new Accept, which is fine. I don't mind it. And the new Judas Priest albums had some great tracks, but a few that should never have made the album. The disjointed nature is disappointing. Now, for Judas Priest's Firepower, I own it. I loved it. I think it's one of the best since Painkiller. That's how good I think this album is. I love every song on it. There's fast songs, there's melodic songs, there's sing-along ones, there's songs dedicated to the dead heroes, metal gods, Absolute phenomenal album from start to finish, so I 100% disagree with that one. New Accepts ones was okay. I guess it was kind of disappointing, but not enough to throw it on this list. Not enough to throw it on this list. But Judas Priest one, 100% disagree. One of my favourites in their entire catalogue. Love that one. Let's go through some of these others. Anything. Oh, Henry Walton. This isn't something that other people have said as well. I disagree, because he writes, I know you will disagree, Questy, because you love this album, but The Forest Seasons by Wintersun is a huge disappointment for me. Looking back, I don't think it's a bad album, just went into it expecting something like Time One. Now, maybe I'm in the minority. Forest Seasons to me is the best Wintersun album. It's probably the only Wintersun album I go back to, the only one I own. I love long songs, I love epic songs, I love the structure of the album, I love how each song is a different season, and the moods in the songs complement the seasons so well, but I admit it sounds nothing like Time One. Sounds nothing like the debut, like it really doesn't. Debut's, fairly like a classic mellow black album, really. And then the second one is like this progressive black metal album, which is just out there and just completely wild, like a Dream Theater meets black metal. That's time one. If you're expecting that on Forest Seasons, you can be sorely disappointed, because Forest Seasons is a lot more like, I don't know, to me, it's kind of like Autumn Aurora. Autumn Eternal has that kind of beautiful passages in like them with the melodic nature. So I don't know, it stands on its own. I really love this one, so I 100% disagree. But I've heard a lot of people, you know, backing you up, saying that it is a disappointment. And maybe it's to do with the Kickstarter. Maybe it's to do with them as a band, but Yari as a frontman. But to me, I love Forest Seasons, so I'm gonna disagree on that one. Let's go through some more. Goatmaster says Metallica, and that load of shit. Load, I'm guessing you're referring to there. Load is... yeah, that could be a disappointment. I will agree with this one. You know, coming hot off the heels of the Black Album, I think Black Album's great. You know, it threw them into stardom. It has great songs on. Some people like to shit on it. I don't. I like it. Twisting Turning Through the Never is a fucking banger song. Enter Sandman, as overplayed as it is a pretty catchy song. Don't Tread on Me of Wolf and Man is low-key one of my favourite Metallica songs. Love that. Nothing Else Matters, I can do without that, but it's still a good song. So I like the Black Album, but Load, I struggle with Load. I really do. I struggle with Load and Reload. Mix them two together, you have a cohesive, nice album, but Load by itself, Reload by itself, just doesn't do anything for me. Compared to the Black Album, it is a massive step down, massive disappointment. 100% agree with you on Load. Absolute piece of shit, as you said. Go through some others. Anything standing out to me? Portuguese, I'm pretty sure you're Dude Man. You said Iron Maiden's The Final Frontier. A lot of people agree with this, and I can kind of agree. After the amazing Matter of Life and Death and Dance of Death and Brave New World, which I think is a great couple of albums. Those albums are fantastic. Say what you will about the Dance of Death album cover. The songs are fucking amazing. But Final Frontier is just kind of... the vocals are just not up to par. Like, I know he had throat cancer during the time. I get it. But still, the vocals just don't do anything for me. The first half of the album is kind of just... I like Where the Wild Wind Blows. Some people don't. I love that. This whole story of it, fantastic. Great melodies. The very first song's pretty good. Final Frontier, cool, interesting space way to kick off the album. But overall, it's one of the weakest... actually, I think it is the weakest newer Iron Maiden album. So yeah, I will sadly agree with you, because I do love them. And I've had a lot of people saying Opeth's Heritage, a lot. So I'm going to mix them all into this one list here. So Opeth's Heritage, is it a disappointment? To me, when I first heard it, yes, it was. I got into Opeth fairly late in the game. I got into Opeth with Watershed. Actually, I got into Opeth through The Throat of Winter on the God of War soundtrack, and I loved it. So you think I might love Heritage, because that's a very folky kind of song. But no. Listened to Watershed, loved it. Coil, great way to kick off the album. Lotus Eater, Heir Apparent, like so many good songs on Watershed. And then Heritage came out. And it was so much different to all the previous works. I went back, listened to the others. So much different. Very jazzy, bluesy, incoherent at times. It has some bangers on Folklore. Absolute banger. I saw them on the Heritage Tour. I saw them play most of these songs. I even saw them play The Throat of Winter acoustic, which was mind-blowing. I love that tour. And it kind of breathed new life into the album for me. So as I was watching them live, I was like, these songs slap live. You know, Folklore is amazing live. The Devil's Orchard is such a great song. The solo might be one of my favourite solos of all time on this album. Of all fucking time. Love the solo. It is a hard sell, though. So it did disappoint me. It disappointed me. As soon as I heard it, I was like, this is so weird. I don't know if I like this. But then, on repeated listens, Opeth's my favourite band, come on. Okay? Repeated listens, I now really enjoy it. I love the chaotic nature of it. I love the jazzy sections in a penth, weird stuff like that. I love it now. But back in the day, whenever this came out, I didn't. I was very disappointed. So I can see why this would be high on a lot of people's lists, because it is. And yeah, after that, Pale Communion kind of brought them back, because Pale Communion is... Some people say that's the worst. Are you out of your bloody rocker? That's one of the best Opeth albums. Absolutely fantastic. But Heritage is just too weird for some people. So I agree. I kind of agree with you. I do agree with you. What else is people saying? So... some people... Hellenic Heavy Metal said the last 2 Dark Tranquillity and the last 3 Rotting Christ albums. So let's go with Rotting Christ, because I'm wearing the shirt. The last 3. The last one was terrible. I didn't like it at all. It might be my least favourites the entire year. Just chanting the whole way through. I don't want chanting the whole way through. I want some heavy metal. I want some black metal. I want some oomph. And there was no oomph. It was boring. It was like a baby's lullaby. Just Greek chanting the entire way through. Boring. The last 2 before that, the Heretics had some bangers on. The Raven was really catchy. I really enjoyed that, but overall, The one before that, was it Rituals? I can't remember. That was okay. So I agree with you. The last 3 Rotten Christ, mid. So the last 2 Dark Tranquillity albums, disagree with you. I like the more moody Dark Tranquillity. The latest one, which came out this year, it needs to grow on me. But the one before that, Moment, I love it. So moody. It feels like Catatonia. It feels like Insomnium. And the one before that, Atoma. Was it Atoma? Love that as well. So I like New Dark Tranquillity. So I disagree with you on that one. A lot of people are saying Deicide, Banished by Sin, the latest Deicide album. Is that because of the album cover? Because the songs actually slap. I think that album's a good album, just marred down by the album cover. So... disagree with you on that one. Here's a big one. W-Fly 101. Dream Theater's The Astonishing. 100% agree. Dream Theater's The Astonishing is just too overblown, too melodramatic, it wants to be theatre, but it's not. It's music. It's kind of like Kisses the Elder. It just wants to be too grandiose, too big, larger than life, and it just doesn't have the cojones for it, It doesn't have the cojones to bring it to fruition. This album is just boring, overly long. Oh my god. It's a struggle to sit through, okay? It's a struggle to sit through. What can I say about this album? Even the song, some of the songs, you pick them out and they're okay. Gift of Music, stuff like that, which I heard them play live, which is it was pretty good. But the album as a whole, oh my god. Melodramatic is the word. It's just too overblown. Get it off. Get it out with the CD player. Throw it like a frisbee. Fuck the album. Fuck it. Another one, which I kind of agree with, the last 2 Amon Amarth albums by Amon. Last 2 Amon Amarth albums, Berserker and Great Heathen Army, just kind of mid. The songs don't really hit. I have been getting into it more and more. I completely trashed it when it came out, Great Heathen Army, but now, Saxons and Vikings is a pretty killer song. I do like that. And some of the other songs on it are okay, but overall, compared to the early Amon Amarth stuff, doesn't hold a candle. Compared to, Versus the World, Twilight the Thunder God, shit like that, just Surta Rising is pretty good. There's a lot of good Amon Amarth albums. People just pass them off as a gimmick, but no, Crusher, stuff like that, so goddamn good. These last 2, though, just feel commercially cash grabby. Just, they found a niche and they're kind of milking it. But they could make some other great heavy albums. These last 2 just aren't it. Let's see if we got any more. Okay, I found the next and probably the last one. Long name, so I'm not going to read it out. But he says, The One After the Satanist by Behemoth, which is I Loved You at Your Darkest. Now, I hear this a lot. And yes, it is a disappointment after the Satanist, but if you really listen to the Satanist, it's not the perfect album, you know what I mean? Evangelion, Demigod and stuff like that are just better albums, I feel like. Zosky Occultist, better album than the Satanist. On re-listens, at first I thought it was a masterpiece, but now it's kind of fallen down in my ranking. It probably would. It's just, a bit too dramatic of an album. Yeah, that's the word to say, a bit too dramatic. And I Loved You at the Darkest kind of just follows on from that, so it is disappointing in the way that it's just more the same. But if you like The Satanist, I don't understand why you don't like I Loved You at Darkest. Because to me, you know, they're both the same. It's the same fucking album. The one after that, same fucking album. Those 3 albums are the same album. Which I guess is why The Satanist was so massive and the rest are just kind of like passed off. But yeah, I can see why it's a disappointment. I can see, because Satanist was like the best album of the 20th century or whatever, 21st century. But this one is just, it's just okay. But it's got some bangers on, you know. I'll always defend Wolves of Siberia, because that's one of the best Behemoth songs they've ever written in the recent memory. Wolves of Siberia goes hard, fast, about 3 minutes long. That's what you want. Bloody banger. Ecclesia Diabolical Catholica, whatever it's called, that's a pretty good song as well. I don't know if that's on Satanist or this one, I can't remember. I have to go back and re-listen. Was I fully disappointed with it? No, I think I enjoyed it, but I can see why other people weren't. So this one I'm on the fence with, you know. I can see why people are disappointed, but to me, I like it just as much as the Satanist, probably. So there you go. Controversial opinion there, ending off the video. We'll do some more discussions like these. I'll put some more questions in the community post, but I want you guys watching at home to tell me what are the most disappointing albums you've heard, and what do you think about the albums I've mentioned on this video. Let me know, and we'll see you again on another Quest for Metal.